Funny, isn't it? How kindness is treated like weakness in a world built on pride. You give, they take. You care, they vanish. You forgive, they laugh. And yet, somehow you still do it. You still choose to be gentle in a world that rewards cruelty. You still help people who wouldn't even look back if you fell. You still love in a place that confuses love with convenience. People think you're naive, that you'll break, that you'll learn the real world. But what they don't understand is that your kindness isn't ignorance, it's power. See, kindness isn't soft. It's strength in disguise. It's standing in the fire and refusing to become the flame. It's walking through betrayal and still choosing not to turn cold. The world tests people like you. It tries to twist your heart, make you believe that being good is a curse. But every scar you carry, every tear you've hidden, every time you bit your tongue when you could have struck back, it all counted. Someone saw it. Something did. The universe doesn't forget mercy. The quiet ones, the selfless ones, the ones who give without being noticed. They're not being ignored. They're being prepared. Kindness. It's funny how people mistake it for fragility, like being gentle means being weak. They see someone who forgives easily and assume they've never been hurt deeply. They see someone who helps others and assume they've never been taken advantage of. But the truth is, kindness isn't born from comfort. It's born from chaos. You don't learn compassion by being loved perfectly. You learn it by being broken and still choosing not to break others. Kindness is forged in the fire of disappointment, in the ashes of betrayal, in the quiet moments where rage could have ruled but didn't. It's strength, just wearing a softer mask. Anyone can be cruel. It's easy. Anger comes naturally. Hate feels powerful. You don't have to train to destroy, but to stay kind in a cruel world. That's discipline. That's power that doesn't scream, it whispers. Because you could have become bitter. You could have turned cold, but you didn't. You still hold the door for people who never look back. You still help those who wouldn't do the same for you. You still love, even though love has hurt you more times than it's healed you. That's not weakness. That's resilience in its purest form. People think kindness makes you an easy target, but that's only because they can't see the kind of control it takes to stay calm when everything inside you wants revenge. They don't understand what it costs to keep your soul clean when the world keeps throwing dirt at you. Kindness isn't a lack of strength. It's the refusal to misuse it. You've got claws. You just don't show them unless you have to. You've got the fire. You just don't burn unless pushed too far. That's real control. Not the kind that comes from fear, but the kind that comes from choice. The world doesn't value that kind of strength because it doesn't make noise. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't post every good deed online. It just exists, quietly, consistently, unshakably. But don't mistake silence for insignificance. The most powerful storms don't need to announce themselves. They build slowly, gather strength invisibly, then change everything when they arrive. That's how kindness works. It doesn't make headlines, but it leaves scars on the darkness it touches. You see, cruelty is loud because it's insecure. It needs to prove something. It wants validation. But kindness doesn't need witnesses. It just is. It doesn't care who's watching. It's not performance. It's purpose. You do it because that's who you are, not because of what you'll get back. And that's exactly what makes it powerful. It can't be bought, can't be faked, can't be destroyed. You can bruise it, you can mock it, you can use it. But you can't kill it. Because kindness doesn't depend on conditions. It exists despite them. But here's the part most people don't understand. Kindness isn't just giving. Sometimes it's walking away. Sometimes it's staying silent when you could destroy someone with the truth. Sometimes it's protecting your peace by cutting off what drains it. It's not about letting people trample over you. It's about knowing when something isn't worth your energy. Real kindness comes with boundaries. It knows when to give and when to disappear. It knows that mercy without wisdom becomes martyrdom. You've probably been told that the world doesn't reward kindness, that nice people finish last. But maybe that's because kindness isn't racing. It's not chasing trophies. It's building something deeper. Reputation with the unseen, favor with the untouchable, peace with yourself. You can't measure that in money or status. You measure it in moments, in the way people remember how you made them feel, in the way your presence calms the chaos, in the way your absence leaves silence. It takes real strength to stay soft in a world that celebrates sharp edges. Anyone can fight back, but not everyone can stay kind without being consumed. You carry a kind of power that doesn't need to control. It influences without force. You bend but don't break. You fall but rise with grace. You get hurt but refuse to let it turn you into what hurt you. That's the kind of strength the world doesn't talk about. The quiet endurance of a good heart in a ruthless world. People may call you foolish for it. They'll say you give too much, care too much, trust too easily. Let them. They don't understand that kindness isn't about being naive. It's about being brave enough to stay human when it would be easier not to be. You don't lose by being kind. You just play a longer game. Because while cruelty burns fast, kindness builds forever. You ever notice how people pretend to care only when someone's watching? They wear empathy like a costume, pull out kindness only when there's applause waiting on the other side. It's all about timing, angles, perception, not truth. They give a coin to a beggar but need a picture of it. They say they want to help others, but it's really just another performance in a world where sincerity has gone extinct. It's not that they don't care. It's that they care more about being seen caring. That's the sickness nobody wants to admit. But you've probably seen through it, haven't you? You've looked at people smiling with their teeth, but not their eyes. You've felt the emptiness behind words like, "I'm proud of you," or "I'm here if you need me." Because you know how rare it is to find someone who means it. You've been there, giving your all to people who only remembered you when they needed something. You've watched them walk away the moment your light stopped serving their shadow. And you learned something from that. Not to stop giving, but to give differently. See, the world doesn't want you to be real. It wants you to fit, to follow the script, to act like you're okay when you're bleeding inside, to smile so no one asks questions, to nod when you disagree, to laugh when it hurts, to stay quiet when you should scream. It teaches you that pretending is safer than feeling. But the funny thing about pretending is it kills you slowly. Every fake smile is a small betrayal of who you are, every unspoken truth, a piece of your soul left behind. People say, stay strong. But what they mean is, don't make us uncomfortable. They don't really want to see your strength. They just don't want to face your pain. Because real pain reminds them of their own weakness, their own guilt, their own silence. And that's why authenticity scares them. Because it's unpredictable. It can't be controlled, can't be molded, can't be sold. Realness doesn't need approval. And that's terrifying in a world built on validation. So they'll call you too much, too intense, too emotional, when all you're doing is being alive. They'll call your honesty rudeness, your boundaries arrogance, your passion obsession. But that's only because your truth exposes their lies. And when you refuse to play their game, they start to see their own masks cracking. That's what honesty does. It doesn't destroy people. It destroys illusions. And most people would rather live in a comfortable lie than face an uncomfortable truth. But here's the thing about the truth. It always finds its way out. You can bury it under layers of smiles, drown it in noise, suffocate it with distractions, but it still breathes. It waits, and when it finally speaks, it doesn't whisper, it roars. It shakes foundations, ends relationships, changes lives. And the ones who can handle it, they don't run from the chaos, they use it. Because they know the truth doesn't hurt you. It cleans you. It burns away what's fake, so what's real can finally live. The world has taught you to hide the parts that make you different. But that's exactly what makes you powerful. The cracks in your soul aren't flaws. They're proof you've been real in a world full of masks. Don't let them convince you to cover them. That pain, that imperfection, that rawness, that's your authenticity. And authenticity is a threat to anything built on lies. That's why they'll mock it, fear it, try to silence it. But deep down, they crave it. Because no matter how fake people act, the human soul still hungers for something real. And when you stop pretending, when you strip away all the noise, the masks, the filters, you realize something terrifying and beautiful. The truth isn't just something you speak. It's something you become. You stop chasing approval, stop performing for applause. You don't need validation anymore because you've finally validated yourself. That's when you start to scare people, not because you're dangerous, but because you can't be controlled. The moment you become real, you break every rule they built to keep you small. You stop fitting into the mold. You stop begging for permission. You stop trying to please people who were never going to understand you anyway. And that's when freedom begins. Not when everything's perfect, but when you finally stop pretending that it is. You ever wonder why the good ones always get tested the hardest? Why the people who give, who care, who love deeply, always seem to walk through the darkest storms? Maybe it's not punishment. Maybe it's refinement. Maybe the fire wasn't sent to destroy you, but to burn away what was never meant to stay. Because life doesn't hand lessons wrapped in comfort. It teaches through loss, through silence, through betrayal. The kind of pain that doesn't just hurt, it rearranges you. It forces you to see who you are when everything's been taken away. People talk about faith like it's easy, like it's a warm blanket on a cold night. But real faith, the kind that changes you, it feels more like standing in the rain, waiting for a sun that hasn't risen yet. It's trusting that the darkness won't last forever, even when every part of you wants to give up. It's believing there's meaning in your suffering, that somewhere in the chaos, there's a message meant only for you. Because sometimes the universe doesn't whisper. It breaks you just enough to make you listen. You've been through things that should have broken you, but somehow you're still here. Not untouched, not unscarred, but standing. And maybe that's the point. You weren't meant to come out of the fire the same. You were meant to come out different, sharper, wiser, hungrier. You've lost people, dreams, pieces of yourself, and still you rise. Do you know what that means? It means you've already beaten the worst days of your life. Every scar you carry is proof that you didn't just survive. You evolved. But here's the cruel trick of the world. It won't clap for your quiet battles. It won't celebrate the nights you cried yourself to sleep and still got up the next morning. It won't see the courage it takes to stay soft in a hard world. Because real strength doesn't make headlines. It happens in silence, in moments nobody sees, in choices nobody thanks you for. The world will only see the result, not the pain it took to get there. And you know what's worse? People will envy the glow, but ignore the fire that forged it. They'll see the crown, not the blood that paid for it. They'll call you lucky, when they have no idea how much you've lost just to feel peace again. They'll think your calm is natural, not earned. That your confidence was gifted, not built out of ashes. But you'll know the truth. You weren't blessed by chance. You were built by suffering. Sometimes the universe takes everything from you to show you that you were never supposed to depend on anything in the first place. You lose the people you thought you couldn't live without, and somehow you still breathe. You lose the plan you thought defined your future, and somehow life still moves. Because when the things you relied on vanish, you realize what's left is the only thing that ever mattered. You. The part of you that refuses to die, that keeps fighting, that keeps believing there's more waiting beyond this pain. You see, pain doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to introduce you to yourself, to strip away the masks, the expectations, the noise, to show you what's real beneath it all. That's why it hurts so much, because it's personal, it's targeted, it's meant for you. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every silence was carefully placed to wake you up, to make you stop living on autopilot and start seeing what you were too afraid to see. And when you finally stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? That's when everything changes. Because the moment you stop resisting your pain, it starts working for you. It becomes your teacher, your guide, your fuel. It molds you into someone who doesn't just survive the storm, someone who commands it. The chaos that once broke you becomes the very energy that rebuilds you. That's the secret people miss. The same thing that nearly killed you is what's going to make you unstoppable. The world is cruel, yes, but it's not random. The struggles you face are not coincidences. They're custom-designed lessons. The betrayal wasn't an accident. The loss wasn't pointless. The pain wasn't meaningless. Everything is shaping you into something stronger than you realize. And while others drown in their anger, you learn to swim through yours. While they break from rejection, you learn resilience. While they curse the darkness, you become the light. One day, when you look back at the pain, you'll realize it wasn't your enemy. It was your initiation. The ticket to a version of yourself that couldn't have existed any other way. Because only those who have suffered deeply can love deeply. Only those who have lost everything can understand value. Only those who've been to the edge can see how precious life really is. And maybe, just maybe, that's what you were being prepared for all along. It's funny how the world teaches you to hide the best parts of yourself. They say, don't care too much. Don't show too much emotion. Don't give too much, because if you do, they'll call you weak. And so people build walls, smile through their emptiness, pretend they're cold just to fit into a world that rewards numbness. But you didn't. You kept feeling. You kept caring. You kept trying even when it made no sense to. You saw the world for what it is, and still, you chose kindness. You gave when you had nothing left to give. And that's exactly why life will never treat you like the rest. See, the world is addicted to masks. Everyone's performing, trying to convince each other they're happy, powerful, successful. But you can tell when a person is faking it. The eyes give it away. Empty, restless, desperate. Because the truth is, most people aren't living. They're just rehearsing. Acting out a version of themselves they think others will like. But the moment you refuse to play the game, the moment you choose to be real, the world gets uncomfortable. You become a mirror, reflecting everything they're afraid to face about themselves. They mock your softness because they lost theirs. They test your patience because they've run out of their own. They hurt you not because you deserve it, but because your light exposes the shadows they've buried. That's what purity does. It reveals everything fake, and the fake don't like being seen. So they call you naïve, foolish, too emotional, too sensitive. But deep down, They wish they could still feel like you. They wish they could look at people and see good instead of threat. They wish they could love without calculating the cost. But they can't, because the world has broken them in ways they never healed from. You didn't let the world harden you, and that's what makes you powerful. You think strength is about muscle, about dominance, about control. But real strength is spiritual. It's what happens when your heart gets shattered again and again, and somehow you still choose to love. You still choose to care. You still choose to see hope in people who don't deserve it. Because even if no one sees it, even if no one thanks you, you know that kindness is never wasted. It echoes. It travels. It builds energy that circles back at the most unexpected times. And maybe that's what they don't get. That your softness is your rebellion. In a world that thrives on competition, chaos, and cruelty, being kind is the loudest form of resistance. Every time you forgive instead of retaliate, you defy the system. Every time you stay calm when provoked, you prove you're untouchable. Every time you choose peace when they expect you to burn, you show them what real power looks like. Because anyone can hate, anyone can destroy. It takes strength to build, to care, to heal. You've probably noticed how life tests those who carry light. How good hearts seem to attract the most pain. It's because darkness is drawn to light, not to destroy it, but to test its strength, to see if it will flicker or burn brighter. And you've been tested in ways no one knows. Nights where the weight felt unbearable, where silence was louder than screams, where you questioned if being kind was worth it at all. But you stayed true. You didn't break. You didn't become what hurt you. And that's why the balance is shifting now. Because energy never dies. It returns. The cruelest people often look like they're winning. They get the promotions, the applause, the attention. But life has a way of collecting debts. The universe plays a long game, and it never forgets. Every selfish act, every lie, every manipulation, it circles back. Just like every act of kindness, every sacrifice, every moment of compassion does. You may not see it today, but the scales are always moving. Slowly, quietly, perfectly. And the ones who stayed kind, they end up with something money can't buy. Peace. And that peace, it's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's the kind that sits with you at night, when the noise dies down. It's knowing you didn't lose yourself trying to win in a world full of pretenders. It's realizing you can look in the mirror and not flinch. That's the real prize. The kind that doesn't fade, doesn't rust, doesn't depend on applause. The funny part is, the ones who hurt you will never understand how much you elevated them. How your forgiveness protected them from karma that was meant to crush them. How your silence kept them from destroying themselves completely. You saved people who would never thank you. And maybe that's your curse. Or maybe that's your calling. Because some souls aren't here to take. They're here to heal. So don't ever think your kindness went unnoticed. Don't ever believe it was for nothing. Every tear, every thank you that never came, every time you stood alone after doing right, It all went somewhere. Into the air. Into the fabric of reality. Into the quiet book of balance that keeps this chaotic world from collapsing completely. And soon, that book turns to your page. The one that says the gentle are not forgotten. The one that proves the kind were never weak. They were simply waiting for the storm to stop pretending it was stronger than them. Funny thing about patience. Everyone wants it until they're forced to practice it. Everyone talks about trusting the process until the process feels like a punishment. You wait, and you wait, and you start wondering if waiting is just another word for wasting. You give your best, stay loyal, do everything right, and life stays silent. You see others getting what you prayed for with half your effort, half your heart, and you start thinking, maybe being good doesn't work. Maybe being patient just makes you invisible. But that's where the trick lies. Patience isn't about waiting for things to happen. It's about who you become while you wait. You see, the universe doesn't reward noise. It rewards endurance. The quiet ones, the consistent ones, the ones who don't quit even when nothing moves. Those are the ones who rise without warning. Patience isn't weakness, it's controlled power. It's standing in the middle of chaos and saying, I know what's coming, I just don't need to rush it. It's what separates the ones who burn out from the ones who outlast. Because timing isn't punishment, it's protection. You think life is delaying you, but sometimes it's just making sure you're strong enough to hold what you asked for. Everyone wants blessings, but no one wants the discipline that comes before them. You think you're ready. You feel ready. But patience is the test that proves it. It's what cleanses you of pride, of ego, of desperation. It breaks you just enough to make sure you don't break when the real reward comes. It's not denial, it's training. Life doesn't say, not yet, to mock you. It says it to shape you. To see if your faith is louder than your frustration. Because what's the point of giving you everything if you lose yourself the moment you get it? And oh, how the impatient ones fall. They chase shortcuts, grab whatever glitters, confuse noise with progress. They get their reward early and call it victory. But they don't realize anything you rush for will crumble faster than you can enjoy it. The easy path always costs the most, because what comes too quickly rarely lasts. Patience, on the other hand, builds roots. It's not flashy, not instant, but when it blooms, it's untouchable. You don't see it coming. You can't fake it, and once it's here, it stays. But patience hurts, doesn't it? It stretches you. It exposes your doubts. It makes you question your worth. And that's the point. It reveals what's real and what's temporary. When things take longer than you expected, it's not a punishment. It's life asking, do you really want this? Because if you do, you'll wait. You'll grow. You'll refine. You'll stop comparing your journey to everyone else's highlight reel. You'll stop begging for doors that were never yours to open. You'll realize that sometimes rejection is just redirection wearing a different mask. And here's what they don't tell you. When you stay patient through pain, you create an energy that even chaos can't touch. The kind of calm that terrifies people who live in noise. While others panic, you breathe. While they chase, you align. While they force, you trust. And that's when the shift happens. When life realizes it can't break you anymore. That's when everything starts coming to you, instead of running from you. Because the universe doesn't give up on the patient. It bows to them. Every storm has a cycle. It destroys, it silences, it clears, and then it rebuilds. Patience is the art of not drowning in the destruction, of standing there, soaked and shivering, and still whispering, I know there's purpose in this. That's when you stop being a victim of time and start becoming its ally. You stop asking, when will it end? And start saying, I know what this is doing to me. You stop seeing delay as a curse and start seeing it as the sculptor that's carving something indestructible inside you. You've seen people fall apart waiting for answers. You've seen them lose faith, lose themselves, because silence scared them more than struggle. But you're different. You're learning that silence isn't empty. It's full of rearrangements you can't see yet. It's full of timing, movement, alignment. It's life working behind the curtain, setting up the next scene while you stand there thinking nothing's happening. But when the curtain finally lifts, you'll realize everything was happening. You just weren't supposed to see it yet. Patience doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing everything without needing to see immediate results. It means trusting that what's meant for you can't miss you, and what misses you was never meant to stay. It's not waiting for the reward. It's becoming the kind of person who deserves it. That's why the patient always win differently. They don't explode into success, they evolve into it. Quietly, gradually, like sunrise. And when that moment finally comes, when everything clicks into place, you won't be shocked, because you'll realize you were being built for it the whole time. Every unanswered prayer, every lonely night, every delay that made you question everything, it was all part of the preparation. And the moment it arrives, you won't chase it, you won't beg for it, you won't doubt it. You'll simply smile, because patience taught you something that the impatient never learn. What's truly yours will never need to be forced.